I got no idea how some of you guys are going to view this video, but I'm going to make it anyway. Being real is not helping you, it's actually hurting you. It's not helping your health, it's hurting your health. How would I know this? Because I've suffered from this for years because of the people that I looked up to when I was younger, the music that I listened to, the books that I had read. I convinced myself that being real was the best way to live life, that being real was the best way to succeed. But I've learned the hard way that being real actually hurts you. Why is that the case? Because when you're real, you start to act real. You start to think like a real person. And you're not able to distinguish the difference between just being a real person and knowing how to act and think in the real world. So some examples are you start overly extending yourself to people. You trust people more easier. You think that everything is for the greater purpose. You think that everything has to be done for the greater good. Is that the way the world works though? Absolutely not. What if right now you're in a corporate job? Do you think being real is going to get you all the way to the top? There's politics. There's things that you have to do that you don't like. Life isn't fair. And I used to think, right, for a long, long time that being real would give me all these blessings. Now, I'm not saying to turn evil and completely be a bad person, but you need to know how to distinguish the two. You need to know that you can still be a real person, but then you have to carry yourself differently in the real world. You're not necessarily not real if you start following real world principles. So, for example, would you identify Robert Greene as a real person? Right? One could argue that he's fake because of all the things that he's understood about people and applied in his life. He's the author of the 48 Laws of Power. Or maybe he is real, but then he knows how to not be that person in the real world. The point I'm trying to make here is that you can be real to the point where you start convincing yourself that that's the way that's optimal for life, that that's the way that you're going to succeed, that that's the way you're going to be the healthiest. And then what ends up happening is you trust people way too easily. You overly help people when they don't need to be helped, right? What's one of the laws in laws of power? Kindness never repays. Have you been there before? Because I have. I've been overly kind to people, and it always ends up resulting in actually a net negative. Why? Because kindness never repays. But I thought being real was the way to succeed. It was the way to carry myself in life. But I soon found out that it actually ended up leading to way more problems. What I've also noticed that whether you're in a corporate setting or whether you're just in an environment that's really competitive, you can even argue toxic, being real makes you stick out more. When you overly try to carry yourself as this like real person, people start to take advantage of you. People start to label you, whether they want to admit that or not. People are always putting together judgments in a matter of seconds. People are putting together these ideas of you in their head. And what I found was that when I tried being this quote unquote real person where I'd help everybody, I'd always speak the truth, it always ended up backfiring. So again, the key here is to remember that you can be a real person, but how you carry yourself is even more important. So you can still remain true to yourself, but when it comes to actually handling yourself in the real world and in relationships, being real is not the best formula, guys. I can tell you that right now. What about when it comes to relationships, when you first start dating? Do you think that just being real is the answer? Absolutely not. There's a reason why there's books like The Art of Seduction, where it literally talks you and walks you through how to actually seduce your partner. And it does not involve being real right off the bat. In fact, you have to put on a facade. You have to put on this little act. You have to make it a cat and mouse game, right? Where you're chasing each other. There's this suspense, there's this mystery. But if you're just real all the time, you're putting your heart on your sleeve, you think that by just carrying yourself this way, that that's the answer. And let me tell you this right now, that is going to actually hurt you. And I wanted to make this video because there's not many videos like this on YouTube. So many YouTube videos are just based on other ideas that have went viral or just esoteric principles that are right now trending. But what about the stuff that everyday people are going through? At the end of the day, there is your essence, but then there's also your essence in this world. And you can be the realest person ever. You can be true to yourself, but you need to know how to carry yourself in the real world. Because if you don't, you're going to get eaten and spit out. That's just the way it is. This is the jungle. This took me a long time to learn. And honestly, it's a really, really hard switch to turn off, especially if you've been like this a long, long time. And I continue to make this mistake. That's why I'm making this video. I've obviously improved, but I continue to sometimes be overly friendly to people. I tend to kind of, get a little bit overly truthful when I try to talk with people and have conversations. I tend to reveal my cards way too quickly. And ultimately, I always think that everything is about just a greater good, when in reality, it's not. Most things you'll find in this world are about capital gain or capital loss, right? So money, practically. And is it going to get you more money? Is it going to lose you more money? And yeah, you might think that this is a really like extremist view of thinking, but if you actually carry yourself this way in life, you're way more likely to be successful. I'm 28. It took me like 10 years to figure this out because I started my entrepreneurial journey at 18. And guess what? I thought being real was the answer. I also got fooled by a couple people online that told me that, hey, just be real, be your authentic self. That's not necessarily the answer all the time. An example is look at the platforms. Yeah, YouTube is a space where you can be real. YouTube is a place where I can come and talk like this and I have nothing to worry about. And I know there's an audience and I know there's a community waiting for me. But if you think that talking like this is going to get you views on TikTok or even on Instagram, you're mistaken. Or on Snapchat for that matter. You get what I'm trying to say here? So the point I'm trying to make here is that understand that you can be a real person, but understand that there is a price to that. You have to carry yourself a lot more differently in the real world. So you have to put in that work. So you're probably wondering at this point in this video, what can you do to actually put in that work? That's where reading books. Robert Greene is a great one. In my opinion, probably the best one. 48 Laws of Power, The Art of Seduction. And then there's other books as well. I think there's one called Art of War. There's many, many books about this, but it's pretty much like, psychological warfare. You need to up your psychology game, right? You need to up your mental strength, your ability to understand what games are being played on you and how to actually maneuver those games. And being real is not the best weapon you have. I'm telling you that right now. In fact, being real is only going to cost you. It's going to make you more of a target. It's going to make it easier to aim at your head. So what you can do is start actually reading some of these books and start getting that edge that you need to succeed in the real world. And this applies not just to opportunities, but to people and to relationships and honestly, every part of life that I've seen to this day. So I hope this video helped some of you guys today. If it did, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in future videos.